By now, we've all no doubt seen the shot that ended the season for the Houston Rockets with Damian Lillard hitting that three that broke the hearts of so many Houston fans, including myself. So now the question shifts to, where do the Rockets go from here? Well, the first thing they have to do is address the point guard position. They've got two different point guards. They've got Jeremy Lin, they've got Patrick Beverley. Both play the point guard position, but neither are really a point guard. One is an astute defender who hits some open shots. One is a creator off the dribble, a little turnover prone, not very good defensively. Both of those guys are better suited to come off the bench, neither should really be starting. However, that's not the biggest problem for the Rockets this offseason. The biggest problem comes with Chandler Parsons. How are you going to address what to do with the starting small forward? Well, number one, you look at his contract. He's a restricted free agent going into this season if the Rockets don't pick up his option for about $990,000. That's a pretty cheap contract for one of the best third options in the NBA. He's making $990,000, which allows the Rockets a little bit of flexibility, which helps them get Dwight Howard this offseason. However, if they pick up his option for this year, he's an unrestricted free agent going into next year, which means that he's able to sign wherever he wants to, which means he'll probably get more money from another team, especially if the Rockets are looking to sign a third star to play along Harden and Howard. So, if the Rockets do not pick up his option, he enters restricted free agency this offseason, which means he's able to sign any contract he wants. However, the Rockets can match any contract he signs. So that puts the Rockets in a bit of a pickle. If he signs a big money deal elsewhere and they match, then they're pretty much guaranteed to have to stick with Parsons for the remainder of that contract, which will in all likelihood be the maximum 4 years. He won't probably get max money, but he'll get something relatively close to it. So do they believe that Parsons is worth that money, or do they want to part ways with Parsons and go in a different direction? The thing with Parsons is that he's a good player, but he's not really going to develop into the kind of player that's going to be worth max money. He's a great third option for this team and really for any team, but is he worth the money that you'd have to pay him to probably keep him here? That's the question the Rockets have to address this offseason. There's no real right answer, there's no real wrong answer, but it's a big question. It depends on what the Rockets have in mind. Do they have in mind that they're going to go after Carmelo Anthony? Because if they do, then you can't have Chandler Parsons and Carmelo Anthony on the same team. If they want Melo, it's probably going to have to be a sign and trade with the Knicks, and Parsons might have to be involved in that kind of trade. You heard at the trade deadline this year that Rajon Rondo is being eyed by the Rockets, and Parsons and Lin was probably the biggest trade that was being put together. So, what do the Rockets do with Chandler Parsons? What they do with him is probably going to affect what they do with the rest of the offseason. Like I said, Carmelo Anthony is one of the big options this offseason. He's the biggest name on the free agent market, assuming he does end up opting out with the Knicks. There's a very slim chance that he opts in because he said that he wants to explore free agency. He's never really explored it before. When his prior contract ended, he immediately re-upped with the Knicks following his trade from the Nuggets to New York. So he wants to explore free agency, and if the Rockets get him, that'd be great. However, that'd be probably the worst perimeter defensive team in the league with Harden, Melo on the same floor, and then if Jeremy Lin gets on the floor, that's even worse. So, where do the Rockets go with Parsons? That's the biggest question. Number two, they've addressed their head coaching problem. There was rumors that maybe McHale's job was under scrutiny, and very well should have been. However, Rockets brass has said that he's coming back next year. He's under contract for next year. He's going to come back. McHale and Morey are very tight. They both kind of look at things the same way. Morey is one of the premier analytics GMs in the league today, and McHale favors a lot of his principles. Morey says that the best way to play, especially with the talent on the team, is to shoot threes, free throws, and layups, not very many mid-range jumpers, which are the so-called dead zone. And McHale's okay with that. He runs. Defense is kind of under, it's okay. You don't really need to play it, but you got to outscore them. And that's how McHale wants to play, and that's why Morey keeps him around. But you have to be able to execute late in games. Obviously, the Lillard 3 is going to get all the publicity and the fame, and it's going to be the one that lives on. But you look at multiple games in the series when Terry Stotts is able to orchestrate plays for his Blazers to get shots off with 3 seconds or less in the shot clock or coming out of a timeout. He was able to orchestrate these plays to get good shots. And the Rockets really, they're forced to just go with James Harden isolations at the end of games. And you hear a lot of people say, well, the Rockets get into the fourth quarter and they struggle. Their offense completely changes, and that's true. So if the Rockets want to be better and they really want to reach the championship level that they've said that they aspire to reach, then they've got to be able to come up with those plays late in games that allow them to get those key baskets, get those key buckets. So that, along with addressing the Chandler Parsons situation, are probably two of the biggest problems with the Rockets this year. And thirdly, is addressing the point guard problem. Not really a problem, but they need to find a guy that can orchestrate the offense because they don't have one. If James Harden's struggling, then the ball just sticks. And if they have a point guard, a floor general, to help them with that, then chances are that they'll be able to make a serious run, not one that they made this year, but a serious run to make a contenders run, a serious run at a title next season, assuming they make those improvements and are able to rectify themselves in terms of playing defense, because that really was a problem this year as well. So let's see what the Rockets do this offseason, but that's the early prognosis for what the offseason holds.